All right, let's jump into our parenthood. If your kids are picky eaters, chances are meal times can be really stressful. So here are some tips on how to avoid that mealtime madness is parenting expert, our favorite, Katherine Sellery. Hi, Katherine.
Hey, I'm so glad to be back. Nice to see you.
We're so glad to have you here, and so glad we're talking about this very appropriate discussion because I think every family has at least one of them. If you have multiples, maybe even the one kid you have might be it. We're talking about picky eaters. You have 3 tips for parents of picky eaters, and I want to start off with the first one. No punishments or rewards. What does that mean?
It means it's vital parents don't force their children to eat. Many parents feel it's necessary to say no dessert without your veggies. I think we've all heard that. Or
Right.
you have to finish everything on your plate before you leave the table. And parents think that this is like a good thing to do. Their intentions are solid. But these statements are actually risky because we want their children to eat enough of the right types of foods. Everybody does. But this kind of dialogue can create a toxic relationship to food.
Okay, well, kids are excellent at bargaining. And is this where we turn around and not bargain with them or just say, all right, but there has to be some kind of consequence if they don't, right? Or am I wrong in that thinking?
Yeah, I think there's maybe a tweak around that thinking.
Okay.
Because what we don't want to set up is an eating disorder. I mean, everything is really around that, in that kids have a healthy self-concept. And how to help parents right now is to guide them in those conversations. So let's talk about how to frame these conversations.
Okay.
So conversations with kids should be focused on healthy and balanced eating, staying active rather than around weight and obesity.
And this is your second
These can
tip,
begin,
right? But
yeah,
framing
right.
it all
This is
up.
tip
Okay.
2. So these can begin as early as when children begin eating solid foods and feeding themselves. The focus should not be around weight, and shouldn't be around looking a certain way because everybody's body is different. So rather, it's important to teach children that food fuels their body for energy and that it's all about feeling well.
Okay. Finally, you say about modeling and exposing. Now, I do that on the weekends, but we're talking about dinner. I'm sure it's a completely different thing, right?
Slightly different, but
Okay.
all our kids are looking at us and they're learning from us. What we do is really how they learn. So at meal times, model healthy eating, balanced diet. They'll learn that by watching you. It's absolutely crucial. So because they learn this behavior from us, it's really important that we model it. In the same way, we demonstrate the importance of regular exercise by modeling that. Active lifestyles, equally important. Expose children to a variety of foods, meals, activities, sports. All of this is so important so that they can discover healthy habits on their own with some, bandwidth around exploration, but with you as a really solid model.
And I think you might have told me this before in our discussions, is why not have them involved in dinner? I would imagine if they're involved in dinner, they're going to be more apt to want to be able to eat it and they'll finish it, I would imagine, because it's their own creation. But what do you say? It's the starving children in China syndrome, where as a parent, we're like, we don't want to waste. I mean, how do we get around that? I mean, I'm sorry, that's going to be embedded. I know I had to finish my plate my whole life, and I think it led me to a weight problem, 100%. I felt like even when I go out, I have to literally tell myself, I don't have to finish this. But what about that scenario that I just mentioned?
I think it's so important. I think we all grew up with that. I did too.
Yeah.
And you're right. It does lead to eating disorders because what we want our children to do is eat until they're full.
And that's basically, you'd want to ask them that. You just say, do you feel full? And again, no
eat
punishment if
until
they
you're
don't.
full.
Okay.
We want, we just keep wanting kids to learn to touch into what's right for them.
All right.
So you can have one body type that's not full yet. You can have another body type that needs more. I mean, obviously, really big guy is going to need more. I had a son and we'd eat dinner and then I'd say about 45 minutes later, he's like, so what's for dinner, Mom? And you're like, what, are you kidding me?
Exactly. They'll eat and eat. We love having you on. Freeparentingbook.com for more details. Thank you, Katherine.
Thanks.